Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. And what you are looking at right in front of you look to be some extremely cool looking Jurassic Park style Velociraptors, right? Well, if that's your guess, you would be correct because these are the final of the Edel Collectibles figures that I have to review. This was a second shipment that came to me that included the Red Rex for the giveaway, which is going down in just a few days. But these are their Velociraptors. The last piece of the puzzle as far as my reviews go for these figures as of right now. So I figured, what better time to get them on the channel than right now when we are only a few days away from not only the giveaway but also from the end of the Kickstarter. So in one last push to try to get people to actually partake in the Kickstarter so we can get these figures made, I figured now would be as good a time as any to take a look at these incredible looking Velociraptor figures. Being 1/35th scale, they are fairly small, like you would expect them to be, but considering their size and the incredible articulation that they have, they are absolutely loaded with detail and wonderful paint application. So let's go ahead, get a closer look at them right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see just how much detail is included, and it really has a beautiful likeness as far as the Jurassic Park style Velociraptor goes. Unfortunately, my camera doesn't really want to focus on it because it's so incredibly small, but you can definitely see how really well done the sculpt and detail is. Beautiful detailing around the eye. You've got an incredibly nicely sculpted out palate there, along with the really nice nostrils up here on the tip of the snout, and an ear back here. So you can see there is definitely a ton of detail and sculpt included, and for something that is this small, it's very, very impressive, in my opinion, just how much detail they've been able to cram into this sculpt. You can also start to see some creases in the neck right there as we lead past the ear. It does have an articulated jaw, which you can open quite nicely, and again, it really looks fantastic as far as a JP Raptor goes. Very nicely painted tongue inside the mouth, along with some really nicely painted teeth. The teeth aren't sculpted individually, but considering how extremely small the figure is, it would be pretty much impossible to sculpt each one of the teeth individually. But they do look extremely well done considering the size of the figure. It's super small. At 1/35th scale for a Jurassic Park style Velociraptor, they're gonna be pretty tiny, and you can see here in my hands just how small they are. But at a $9 price point on the Kickstarter, I think it is an incredible deal as far as this figure goes. Really reasonable pricing, and for an articulated figure like this, that is awesome. The articulation on this is actually just as awesome as the other figures, and it's so much smaller than the rest. You can see the eye is painted quite nicely with a greenish coloration, very similar to what you did see on the Jurassic Park Velociraptors, and the paint application overall is really nicely done. You can see lots of variations of brown included, looking very realistic as far as skin tone goes. You can also see kind of some of the brown run up here onto the tip of the jaw, the upper and lower as well. There definitely appears to be a wash included also, which is really cool to see. It definitely makes all the details of the body jump out at you for sure. As you lead down the neck, again, lots of creasing in the skin, lots of little cracks and crevices to apply that beautiful wash to, and I think it brings the detail out really nicely. Nice light coloration for the underbelly and the underside of the neck. As we move down here into the body, you can get a sense of the shoulder blade right there, and look at the wonderful skin detail all over the figure. Really beautiful skin texture. As you come down into the arms are incredibly well sculpted, and again, just look at the color variation throughout the arms. Really incredible stuff considering its size. Very nicely sculpted hands on the Velociraptor, beautifully painted nails with a nice blackish coloration, and again you can see just how wonderful that skin texture is in the stomach region and how many variations of brown are included in the figure. Even up here in the top you can get a sense of the spinal column that runs along the animal, and really nice cracks and crevices all throughout the skin of the figure up there as well. Again, brought out wonderfully by a really nice looking dark wash. As we lead down the leg, you can see some really nice color variation, but also some really nice musculature of the thigh and the calf region. You've also got the kneecaps there that are really quite beautifully sculpted. As we come down into the feet, you can see the feet are extremely nice looking, really beautifully sculpted, and again, the detailing of the feet brought out wonderfully with that nice dark wash. Really nicely painted nails, especially the beautiful sickle claw that these raptors are known for in the film, and I really feel like they absolutely nailed the feet of the figure. Of course, they nailed the entire sculpt, but look at how perfectly sized and perfectly proportioned those sickle claws are. It really, really looks just like it does in the film. And then you come back up here into the tail, and you lead out the length of the tail, but you can see so much very nice sculpt and detail throughout the tail, and again, that really nice wash brings all that detail out really beautifully. The figure is primarily in a bit of a neutral pose, as these usually are. I think the only difference is you can see that the one leg is forward just a hair, probably, than the opposing leg. But other than that, all the sculpt, all the detail would be the same on this side in comparison to what you saw on the opposing side. And the other raptor that I have here is actually just the same as this one. So you can see that there is no difference between the two. Maybe just a slight bit of color variation, and I mean a very slight bit, but that's primarily because these are hand painted individually as they are prototypes. So no two are probably going to look exactly the same, but you can definitely see that they are the same figure, and having a pair is just awesome. They look so cool together, and they also have kind of a slight gloss to them, which helps them shine a bit in the light and really helps to also bring out the detailing of the figure, which I actually do quite like. More often than not, you'll always hear me say that I don't like a gloss really on my dinosaur figures, but Edel has actually applied a gloss to the majority of their figures, but somehow it's a really natural looking gloss to the figures, and I really think that it actually makes the appearance of them so much nicer than it would if they had not included that gloss. So really well done as far as the usage of the gloss, but also the sculpt, detail, paint, everything on these Velociraptors is just absolutely off the charts fantastic. As far as articulation on our raptor goes, of course you have the articulated jaw, which can open pretty wide. It definitely goes pretty wide, and it actually works really quite well. There's no sloppiness at all to the articulation of the jaw. Then you have articulation of the neck in two spots. You've got it right here, kind of around mid-neck area, and then at the base of the neck, and that allows you to really nicely perform some very nice articulation, really beautiful posability with the figure, and I think it all works really smoothly. You see, you can put the neck out pretty much straight out if you would like, and you can also bring the neck in like this, so it allows some incredible posability with your figure, and I really do love the ability to pose your figure in so many different ways, to articulate it and display it however you would like. Fantastic, and the neck articulation specifically of these Edel figures is just pretty much off the charts when it comes to the realism of how it appears when you actually articulate the neck. It always looks so smooth, so realistic. You've also got articulation here in the arms, and you've got articulation in the hip region, along with articulation here in the tail, which can move left or right, up or down, however you would like. So there is really, really nice articulation in these figures, and again, I absolutely love them. But let's go ahead and get a size on these Velociraptors. So for a length from the head to the tail, you're looking at about 4 3/4 inches, or around 12 centimeters, somewhere in that range. Now I knocked him down. As far as a height though, it's really going to depend on your preference. If you want him standing about there, you're going to see it at about 2 inches or 5 centimeters. But you could also position him with his legs back like this, so now he's kind of more up and in like a more alert position, so that would be a little bit higher. It really just depends on you and how you would like to display your raptor and pose it. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex along with Robert Muldoon from the Jurassic World Mattel toy line, and the Colovosaurus attack pack from the toy line, so you should have a pretty good idea of around what the size of these raptors are in comparison to these figures. Hopefully you guys own at least one of these figures or something similar to them, and you would have at least a slight idea as far as the size comparison goes that these are definitely very small figures, but insanely well detailed, insanely well sculpted and painted for their size. And actually, while we're at this point, you can see that they actually do balance on their own without a base at all. But the interesting thing is that they do actually have peg holes on the bottom for a base, so I'm not entirely sure once they're finished if they will be coming with a base or not, but you can see that they can balance on their own regardless without a base, so that is extremely cool, considering Velociraptor figures, especially with their tails up like this, are very hard to honestly balance out, and most figures that I have do not balance if they look similar to these, but these ones shockingly do, so another incredible job done as far as what Edel Collectibles can pull off with their beautiful figures. And for one final size comparison, here is the MV Rex with the Velociraptors. So these are probably the two that you would want to have if you are buying this set, because why would you not want to complete the scene at the end of Jurassic Park with the Rex and the Velociraptors? And you should have a good idea how well they size up to each other here with this shot that I have, and I really think that they honestly are sized perfectly, pretty much exactly to what I recall in the film. So really wonderful job on the part of Edel, not only on the beautiful sculpt, beautiful paint and posability of their figures, but also on the sizes of them in comparison to each other. Wonderful work overall. So these Edel Collectibles articulated 1/35th scale Jurassic Park style Velociraptors are absolutely awesome. So incredibly well done considering their size. The amount of sculpt work put into these figures is honestly staggering. You really can't just appreciate it until you get one in hand and take a look at it up close, because it's honestly amazing how much detail that they have put into these figures. And I think that the paint application on them is really well done. So many different variations of browns and everything included, making them look just super realistic as far as skin tone goes, and also really well done as far as replicating the paint schemes from Jurassic Park. And all of the incredible detail that is within these Velociraptors has been brilliantly brought out with a wonderful dark wash, pretty much perfectly applied, I will say, because it just looks incredible and shows just how much work has gone into the sculpts of these Velociraptors. Definitely something to appreciate. And again, the articulation on these is incredibly well done. Also, the articulation of the neck specifically is so incredibly smooth, and every single position that I put it into, it really genuinely looks very realistic and looks like the way the neck would probably look on a real living Velociraptor. It's really smooth, it works perfectly as far as articulating the figure, and it honestly opens up a world of possibilities when it comes to posability and displaying your figures, especially when you have two figures like this, two Velociraptors, the same species, same appearance, and you don't want them to look exactly the same. So Edel Collectibles has provided you the ability to display them looking completely different as far as their pose goes, and even with the Rex you can kind of create a diorama to show off the final scene of Jurassic Park, which I think is also awesome. So I really want to stress to you guys how important the Kickstarter is. We only have a few days left and we are pretty far from the goal, so I really want you guys to soak up all these reviews of all the Edel Collectibles figures that I have posted over the past few weeks, and really take a minute to think about how much you would like to get your hands on these Edel figures, and then head over to their Kickstarter right away and start funding figures. This one here specifically, like I said, is $9 for the Velociraptor, so it's very cheap. It doesn't take much to include yourself into the Kickstarter, but there are so many other very cool figures in the Kickstarter right now that you can back as well, like the different versions of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and then all of the other figures that I have shown you guys over the past few weeks will become stretch goals and will become available over time, but we don't really have too much time left, as I said, so we really need to get these figures funded. So I will include a link in the description for you to head over to the Edel Collectibles Kickstarter right now and start funding these figures. If you want this Velociraptor, again, $9 is a great price, so make sure you head over there to the Kickstarter, help Edel Collectibles reach their goals so that we can officially get these figures in our hands, in the hands of everybody that wants them, as really they deserve a place in any and every collection. Really fantastic work continuously from Edel Collectibles. So again, check the description, head over to the Kickstarter right now, fund some incredibly awesome Edel Collectibles figures, but before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.